All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, what really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan for today, Vaughn Littrell. Vaughn, thanks so much, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
Really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're super slammed and busy. I know everybody out there is in huge anticipation for this episode to get to know you. So let's just dive in if you're cool with that.
Man, I can't believe you had me on here, brother. That is a risky choice.
I would not say that at all. It's a risk if no one's watching this. There's so much to learn, man. You have so much to share. I can't wait to get it on there. So let's just dive into the series of questions. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
My name's Vaughn Littrell. I'm a native here, man. Right here underneath Pikes Peak. I was born right downtown, and you know, back in 1972. So
you're dating
born
yourself.
and raised, right?
You're
I'm
dating
old,
yourself
man. I'm
there.
almost 50 years old now, Greg.
Gosh, man.
But yeah, I mean, this is my home, and you know, I went to high school here. Went to Liberty High School. Graduated District 20. Go Lancers, and now. We live in Castle Rock, so have a great family there, and actually they're leaving one by one now. My oldest son is a combat medic in the Army, and he's actually in Korea right now. And we have a son he's been gone for a little while too. He comes home to have a hot meal every once in a while, and he plays football up at UNC Justice. And we have a daughter that's a junior, Gianna, at Castleview, and then we have my wife, and she's. You already know. If you know me pretty well, so you already know she's amazing. She's a saint, man. So
she is amazing. If you're watching, shout out for sure.
So, and then we got Brutus, and he's the social media star. He's our bulldog, and but that's a little bit about kind of a little bit about me and my peeps and.
Love it, man. And that's so good about being a native and being here. And there's so much to do with about family and obviously care. That's the number one here. But let's talk about the business side and kind of what got you into the business, what started, and then what progressed you into where you're at today.
Sure. I happened to walk into the Tiffany Square building just kind of on a fluke one time and got a job at MCI and found out that I was actually pretty good at selling on the phone, and I did that and worked there and was a supervisor there. I was there maybe about 6.5 years. And then as the ship went down and WorldCom went down and the whole deal, we had to figure out what we were going to do.
Sure.
And so everybody was kind of scrambling to find new careers. And, I called Quinn, my best friend, and I said, "Hey, Q, what's going on over there? And are you making any money?" And he got a job at 20th Century Mortgage. It's not around anymore.
Okay.
And but he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I think we can make some money over here." I had no idea what an interest rate was. I didn't know how to buy a home. I didn't know anything, none of this. And so I'm literally coming in, I have no idea. So the first meeting that I have with my new bosses, and they sit down, they say, "We have these green sheets," you know what I mean? And so, and they come out of this printer, this old school printer, and they peel you off some. They're like, "Here's some lead sheets. There's just a piece of paper. Get all this information from the clients and bring them back. If you get one or two, today, that's going to be a super successful day. And we'll try to turn these into a loan." And I was like, "Well, I don't really know what a loan is, but we're going to get a bunch of information, and I'm just going to go ahead." So I think the first day, I think I did like 17 or 18 of those. And I brought them back into the boss, and he was like, "What?" He's like, "What am I supposed to do with these?" And I was like, "Don't ask me." I'm like, "Look, brother, how does this translate into a paycheck?"
Right.
And so, but from there we started learning. We were only doing HELOCs back then and lines of credit and stuff. And so, but slowly over time, man, Quinn's been with me this whole way.
He's a great guy.
Dude, and you know Quinn well, man. Shout out to Q. He's gotten a lot of people in this business, and he's been with me since day one and really had my back. And since he got in, he's always kind of been one step ahead, and it's been super awesome being able to follow in his footsteps because, as you know, man, he's about one of the best dudes on the planet.
Absolutely.
Man. So
inside and out, not just business, but he's a good man.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of why I'm in the business, man.
All right, man, and I love it. And there's so much in there for everybody to take away. Is obviously it's not something that you were thinking about from day one. It was something that you almost kind of fell into.
Right.
But you put the time in.
Right.
You work hard. You do what's necessary. You're putting in the hours. And I think that a lot of people that get involved in any kind of real estate realm, they think, "Oh, I could do that. I could try that." But you're a testament of that to really working hard and getting it done and having the systems to take it to the level that you've done it at is huge, and really, really, really huge props for that, Vaughn, because that was amazing what you've done so far and continue to do. So everybody knows that in here. So let's go into the next question, which I think is extremely important for everybody to get to know you a little bit more. Is what's your why? I mean, what motivates you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? Lets you do what you do to the level that you do it at?
Man, I knew you were going to ask me this question. I mean, he sends out the questions on email.
I try to prep everybody.
And I knew he was going to ask me this question, and I'm afraid of this question a little bit. I've heard all the Titan interviews, and everyone's a heck of a lot more polished than I am, it seems like.
Man.
But, my why is, and we'll just dive into it, brother. For me, my why is, it's a path, it's a journey that started a long time ago. And I'll share a small story with you, and some of you out there know, and some of you don't know, but I've had some life struggles.
Sure.
And, there was, as a young man, I kind of struggled to kind of find balance in my life, and was kind of reaching out in the wrong ways. And I was a good kid in high school, man. In high school, I was the president of Students Against Drunk Driving. I mean, I was a good athlete and sort of decent student.
Sure.
But I was involved in, Fellowship of Christian Athletes and just, in church and a lot of good things. And I had a goal. I wanted to be a youth speaker at some point in my early years. And that never, it didn't quite translate out here with that goal until actually recently. And so, but over time in my 20s and making a lot of money at a young age, dealing with a lot of things that I hadn't dealt with as a child, and I began to start making small compromises to my character, man. And you know what they say, it's the little foxes that spoil the vine. And it's, if somebody were to come up to me when I was 20 years old, I'd never had alcohol at 20 years old, and they say, do you want to have a drink? I would have been like, no. Well, over time, you start making compromises, depending on what friends I had, or maybe a girlfriend along the way, or whatever the situation may be, and I started to do things. I started to become a part of things that was contrary to my character, and over time, I became someone by the age of about 33 that I had no idea who I was.
Wow.
And, I got in a car crash. May 21st, 2005. I was driving on the east side of Colorado Springs, and I ran a red light. I was drinking and driving, and I hit a lady, and that day she died. And so, that happened, and I did that, and it was a culmination of about 12 or 15 years that I had lost my entire way.
Sure.
And it was a situation where I just devastated a ton of people. She had a 12-year-old son that would never see his mom again. There's devastation in victims everywhere. And, at that point, I had to look at my life and say, how did I allow my life to get to this point, right now? And my kids were in the car that day, and they were hurt, and my cousin was in the car, and it was a bad situation.
Sure.
And so I was just reeling. I had no idea at that time who I was. I was sentenced to prison, and I ended up spending 2,530 days, to be exact, and in the Colorado State Penitentiary. Okay. And so, I remember the first day, and to answer your question is, what is my why, right? And we're skipping forward. We're kind of skimming over some things here, but, what is my why? Well, I remember the very first day I actually woke up in Buena Vista Correctional Facility. And I asked the guy next to me in the cell next to me if he had a piece of paper and a pen. And that was the first day they brought us in, and I'm in this cell, and it's old school bars, and then, like 120-year-old prison. They used to let people go there with a horse and a gold coin. I mean, it's old school, and it's not a fun place to be, right?
Right.
And so the prison door shuts, and it's the old yellow bars, and I had a huge clock outside my cell. and you can see it's like the ones you have in grade school, and the clock is just ticking. You can just see it just like tick, tick, tick. Well, that particular day happened to be my son Justice's birthday, and tough. I broke that day, and I couldn't fix anything that I'd done. I couldn't mend anything together.
Right.
Everything slipped through my fingers. It was all gone, and I'd hurt I don't know how many people.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And just devastated people's lives with my decision to allow my life to get to the point where I drink and drive and kill someone. So I just broke, man. I just started writing down on a piece of paper that day what I now see is the plan for my life, but I didn't see it right then. All I knew is that I didn't know how to even want to breathe like my next breath, because I didn't feel like I was worth anything on this planet.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I took time and I just wrote down who I wanted to be. Like what kind of man do I want to be? What kind of human being? What kind of member of society? What kind of husband? What kind of father? What kind of, and I basically just started writing out a blueprint for my life. Okay. And it was, looking back now, and I still have that. But how I was also going to put into action, like how was I going to get there? Mm-hmm. Because I didn't feel like I could live for 5 more minutes. And so sometimes it was 5 minutes, and I'd have to make it for 10 minutes and make it for the next hour and set a goal for 2 hours. And I just began, okay, I wanted to do this. I wanted to finish my college degree. I wanted to read 1,000 books. I wanted to learn how to speak Spanish. I wanted to do this and that and get in good shape. And at that point, man, I was a 330-pound mess. I had let my entire life go. And so it's, looking back on it, and so what did I do? I just walked it out one day at a time. Just every single day, one day at a time, and my why began to become a legacy. I wanted to leave a different legacy. That's right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't want the story to end right then. Okay. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be dead and have my family come in and be like, well, he had like immeasurable talents and he was super, charismatic and he could do anything. He had all these, he had all this potential. I didn't want that to be what people said about me at my funeral. And so I wanted to leave a different legacy, one that said, okay, this is what he did. This is the mess ups he had in his life. Right. These are the things that he had to overcome. These are the things that, and a lot of that was, overcoming self-bad decisions. Sure. Some of it was dealt, but a lot of it was just me making boneheaded decisions. Right. And so I just wanted, that's the kind of things I wanted. I wanted my sons to be able to say, hey, my dad has had these struggles, but this is what he did, and he walked it out, and he turned the other way, and he just became a totally different person, and and I just wanted to be something different than I was. I wanted to find what my purpose was, and in that was my purpose. That is my why. My why is that I want to leave a different legacy, and that stays with me every single day, every day. That's it.
And by the way, thanks for sharing that, because that is not easy whatsoever, to let everybody know kind of what's going on in detail. I will tell you, Vaughn, that's got to be one of the most powerful whys that we've had on this series. Mistakes happen, bad things happen every day. We all deal with challenges and struggles, but you have addressed those things, you've made amends, and you've continued to grow that legacy. Your family, anybody who knows you, anybody who really knows you, knows that that's already been done, man. You that list that you made, that stuff that you've been going through, you're good. You've made peace, you've done through, but you continue. You give so much to charity, you give so much to people, you give so much to your family, and you're not done. You're not done, man, and you know it. That. You're still going, you're still growing. So as far as whys are concerned, that's huge, man, and thanks for sharing that, and hopefully everybody takes that to heart. That is not easy whatsoever. But I think we can all learn from that particulars in there. So let's go into a slightly softer question.
Yeah,
if you're cool with that,
please.
Phew, let's air that out a little bit. This is good. So when it comes to the business portion and this side here, and again, continuing to grow what's going on, the people that are watching this, they watch the series to see what the Titans are doing to grow, right? And not just in struggle, but also in business. So if you could pick a few things that you added to your business thus far, from the beginning to right now, that took your business from one spot to the next.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
I have to trust people.
Okay.
Right? I've had to learn, I'm kind of a control freak, and I kind of want things done the right way. And, when I got back into this business after being gone for almost 8 years,
right.
I didn't know anything. I'd forgotten everything. I didn't know how to read a rate sheet. I didn't know how to do anything. And Quinn had to literally sit me down and just say, look, this is how we do this again. And now everything's changed and all these regulations and laws. And I was like, it's like drinking out of a fire hose, man. And so I was just learning the business again. But I think the thing that's really taken me to the next level in business is being able to trust others that are around me. Wow. Being able to just say, look, I can't do this on my own. Mm-hmm. I can be the face of this, and I can talk, and I can pre-qualify people in this and this. But really, the big, the magic of our process here and what we've put together, and being able to do the volume that we can do is, man, I got a great processor, Brittany Cruz. I got great assistants. Christina Thomas is she's like my right hand. Wow. I got Paul Littrell, my cousin. He's now a licensed broker, but still does so much for me, and he's been with me for so long, and he's going to be awesome. And Mel Smith, Mel is just a great guy. He's also one of the football coaches over at Vista Ridge, and just a great guy in the community. And so just having a team and, being able to say, okay, take that leap of faith. Okay, we need one assistant. Now we need two. Now we need three. And really began to just relinquish the daily tasks. And I found that once I did that, not only were we better, because they're better at these things than I am.
Right. Hey,
you know what I mean? They're just better. That's the fact. I'm good at some things, and they're really good at some things, and that's what makes it really awesome. And so I think that if I had to list something, that's probably the number one thing.
I think that's huge, and a lot of the other Titans that have been on the series and people that are watching this can attest to just not necessarily trying to do everything on your own.
Yeah.
It's hard to give away that trust or that freedom to say no one's going to do it like me, but you are a testament to that once you find the right pieces, the right people, a part of your team, you can grow exponentially more than you'd ever do on your own. Right. No one really does it alone either. Right? So I think that's beautiful advice. And that's for everybody out there. So hopefully you guys are writing that down. That's really, really good stuff, is just put the right people in place, grow your team when it's right, and trust. Yeah, man. Just let go, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. And you know what? A big part of, one of my skill sets is I love talking to realtors. Man.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my thing. And
for sure.
The more that I can put on their plate, the more I get to talk to my realtors and I love, man, I got the best realtors in town, dude.
Networking machine. This guy works with some of the best of the best. Yes, I absolutely do know. It's the truth. And I think that comes down to the fundamentals. I talk to a lot of loan officers and mortgage professionals. Yeah. And it's interesting because there's multiple personalities. There's kind of the desk LO that kind of sits back, doesn't really network and push out, but just writes loans, does a good job. Yeah. But I find that the best of the best understand the back end and the processes, but are people. This is a relationship business. I don't need to tell anybody who's watching this. You know this. Yeah. And you roll with the best of them, man. So I think it's awesome. Man. I think that's
the fun part, man.
I think so.
That's the fun part.
I think so. It's all about people. So, all right. So that's good stuff. So let's go into the next question inside here. So if we take a look at it, when it comes down to giving advisory, this is the challenge question. Now, we've already tapped into obviously a big challenge you've dealt with in your life. And I really applaud you for sharing that, and hopefully that really affects so many people watching this. But if there's another key into that, or something else that sticks out to you that really put in front of you a challenge that you overcame on top, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. Just to kind of piggyback on what we said before, but the challenge to become a good person happened when I was in prison.
Right.
And that was a challenge. Mm-hmm. But, a recent challenge for me was getting out. Right. Do you have clothes? Mm-hmm. I have to get custody of my kids, which happened the day I got home. Finding a place to live, just taking those steps one at a time. This mortgage industry, man, this is probably the biggest challenge, because after you have that happen, as a lot of the real estate professionals know, you have to check a box on that application to become a licensed broker that says, have you committed a felony?
Right.
And the answer is yes. And so Dora did not give me my license the first time. They said, no, we will never give you your license.
Sure.
We don't believe that. And I didn't believe that we had come this far to just quit. And so I shot it to him again. Waited 6 months, shot it to him again. No.
Wow.
No. Fourth time, man. Went back in and I had a lady, there's 5 members on Dora, and the first one said no right away. And she was on the phone, and the second one, she said, I keep seeing this guy's application. I keep seeing some of the things that he's involved with and doing. And she goes, I just believe in a guy getting a second chance and the opportunity. And I just want to know what that has to do with someone's ability to be trusted by the community again and be able to do mortgages in the state of Colorado. And all of a sudden it was yes, 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 yes. And as you know, it was an open forum, so they don't even know they're talking about me, and I'm sitting right there, and I stood up and I just said thank you, and you won't regret it.
Unreal.
You won't regret it. And so that was, when you hear no, you start to think just for a second. But you know what? I just look back on all the things that I've already heard no in my life, or you're never going to be this, or you can't come back from this, or you can't repair these fences or mend these relationships, and we don't believe in that.
No, and that's obviously a huge part of your character, a huge part of your moral compass and the man that you are, is not taking that no for an answer when you know that you can do more, you can be right. Everybody deserves a second chance, even sometimes a third chance. And again, I think looking at it from that standpoint, it just by you sharing these stories and these struggles about it, there are people out there who haven't dealt with anything near anywhere of that struggle, and they're not the best people in the world. Sometimes we need challenges. Sometimes we need struggle to have reflection on, hey, you know what? This is something that hit me, and I'm not going to be a worse man because of it. I'm going to become a better man for it. And I'm not just going to do that in my life, but I'm going to do that with my family. I'm going to do that with my friends. You give back so much to the people around you. I know you're a part of charities. Yeah. Right? We've
got an awesome one with Legacy 521.
Yeah, let's hit it. Do you mind sharing?
No, not at all. We do this year. So my other business, right? My other business is Legacy 521, and I get the opportunity to speak in high schools, colleges, organizations across the country. I was a keynote speaker at the Franklin Covey Conference in California.
Awesome.
Just got a chance to really share my story, and that was so cool. But it's really just about, my brother and I started it, and it's about just getting out the message of overcoming and drinking and driving and making good choices and consequences and things of that nature. So I'm able to have a really awesome platform to reach a lot of different people. But one of the things we do in Colorado Springs is exciting right now is Thanks Fest.
Okay.
And Thanks Fest, we started it 5 years ago. I actually thought of it while I was laying in my prison bed, and I said, I want some tangible things that I can do in the community. I've taken from this community, and I can't take that back.
Right.
How do I give back to this community and continue to give back? And so I thought of it one day, and I'll never forget, and I was like, we're going to provide Thanksgiving dinners for every family in Colorado Springs that does not have a Thanksgiving dinner. And so that first year, our family really, I remember we got all this groceries for 5 families, got our names from this church, and I delivered them all, and then it grew to 25 the next year, and then everyone's like, Vaughn, how can I get involved? And we want to be involved, and then the community just started killing it, and then my realtor started killing it, and then it just blew, and we went to 66, and then 107 last year, and this year we already have 110 families.
Wow.
And we're going to 250. We got 10 more days to raise funds, and I go to Legacy-521.com.
Link will be below, everybody.
Hit the Thanks Fest tab, Legacy Gives tab, and you can donate, and then come out and help us hand them out, and that's a super blessing. And there's just a lot of people in need, man. I work with Head Start program here, CPCD, and they work with 1,800 families that are living below the poverty level, man. And it's just, and we can do something, and we can't fix everything,
right?
But we can do something,
for sure.
And we're gonna do something. We're going to make a difference, man.
You're doing it, Vaughn. I mean, already doing it, have been done there, bought the t-shirt, you're going to continue to grow that legacy. I mean, flat out, that's the facts, that's the truth. So hopefully everybody knows that and sees that. Links can be down below, so please donate your time, effort. That would be most appreciated. So let's go into a slightly softer question into this as well. And this is actually one of my favorite questions.
Okay.
Going back in time, if you could give your younger self a piece of advice or two, what would you say to young Vaughn?
Man, I have a different concept of time now.
Okay.
I know how long a day is. I know how long 8 years is.
Right.
I tricked off so much time. And I got through in my younger years on talent, being able to talk, being able to sell. But I just lost so many opportunities. And if I could just go back and just say, Vaughn, just this talent means nothing without hard work, focus, and goals.
Love it.
I was just out there just day to day, day to day, and you can't live like that, man. And I wasted so many opportunities. We're only on this planet for this amount of time.
It's a blip,
dude. It is a blip. I don't know how I became, almost 47 years old. I have literally no idea.
right?
And so, what are we doing? I would tell myself, man, make the most of each and every opportunity. You know what I mean? Because it may never come again. And if you don't maximize this and you don't work hard, man, Vaughn, I just want to shake myself sometimes. You know what I mean? But now we're here, and so I can shake my kids and tell them. So.
That's where everybody with kids gets that. I think, but Vaughn, that's beautiful advice, not just for young Vaughn, but for everybody who's watching this, myself included. So look at it. Time is the number one commodity. Make sure you're doing the right things. Make sure you're spending time with people who you love and care for. Make an impact and a difference in the community, not just with your occupation, live to work, but really do something different like you're doing.
Right.
I think that's huge, man. That's huge. And if more people live that way, we'd all be in a better spot. So that's great. Hopefully everybody took that to heart, because I know I did. So let's go into the feeding of the mind portion, because I know that a lot of viewers of the series, they want to know what Titans are feeding minds, what they're growing with, what they're learning, and that sort of thing. So if you could look back, books you're reading or have read, podcasts you're listening to, or influencers in social media, what are you feeding your mind on?
Well, and iron sharpens iron, first of all, man. I try to be around good people. I try to have a circle of people that hold me accountable, starting with my wife, and then going through all of my friends. I can look at like my family and some of the people that have actually been there and held me accountable, and continually talking with them and learning and growing, man, because I'm just a work in progress, brother. That's the bottom line.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
This guy.
So that it's cool, but as far as like if I could sit down and read a book right now, I mean, I'm a junkie for someone who has has to overcome something that's just ridiculous.
Right.
Okay, Aaron Ralston, Between a Rock and a Hard Place.
Okay.
Dude, out canyoneering, you fall into this crevice, your arm is pinned. Wow. Your arm is pinned, and you're going to die, and no one is going to find you. And you are literally drinking your own body fluids to try to stay alive, and it's either cut your arm off with your own pocket knife and live. Like, how bad do you want to live? Like, how bad is in that human spirit is, do you see the worth? Like, I just want one more day. Right. I just want one more opportunity, right? Yeah, dude. And then you got like ultra marathon man, Dean Carnegie. This guy has a midlife crisis, and I can't remember if he was like 30 or 40, but he's at a bar with his family or whatever, and he just walks out of the bar, just walks home, puts on his grass-stained tennis shoes, and just starts running. Wow. And just Forrest Gumps it, basically, and just starts running. Dude ran like 100 miles, calls his wife, says, I'm here. Okay. She's like, what are you doing? And then he just started running. Well, this guy ran so much. This is the guy that ran 100 miles to get to the Boston Marathon and finish fourth.
Wow.
And it tells you, right? It tells you, like, you're never too old. You're never, it's all about what you're committed to and what you want. What do you want what's your passion? I mean, how passionate of a person are you? And I love those kind of stories of overcoming. I love anything by John Krakauer, Into Thin Air, the story of the Mount Everest. I love, the people that died on that mountain, man, and just some of the things they had to overcome and what he's done. And, it's so many books like that, man, and those are the books that got me through in my life.
Right.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Okay.
Bro.
Great one.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
If you haven't spent time reading that book,
read it.
I don't really know what to say. I know, whatever anyone's opinion is on Stephen Covey or this or that.
Sure.
The principles, that's the thing, right? If it's principle centered, be proactive. Begin with the end in mind. Put first things first. Those are principles, like honesty and discipline and hard work. You can't argue with those. Those are timeless. And, those are and that's why that book is so awesome, man.
Sure.
And so, I don't know, there's some of my favorites, brother.
I mean, those are great. Those are huge. And as always, I'm going to have a list of those books below so you can feed your mind the same way that this man is to become great, just like that. And I think that what's a really big testament to what you just mentioned is the types of books that you're feeding and continue to. They're motivational, they're inspirational, and it obviously exudes out of you. I mean, anybody who's watching this can, hopefully you feel this energy, because I do in the room. It's fantastic. And obviously the people that love you and know you and trust you, they see that every day. Your clients know that. Your partners in the community, they feel that. And it comes from your thought process, your mindset. It's kind of that old adage, you are what you eat. Right?
Yeah.
Well, you are what you consume in all facets. Books you read, movies you watch, conversations you have, associations with individuals. Obviously, you're putting a lot of good stuff in your brain, my friend, because it's coming out. It's coming out all over the camera here. So thanks for sharing that. Again, I'll have the links in below so everybody can follow along that way. So this has been chock full of awesome information. I mean, that is an understatement to say the least. The struggle, the story, the inspiration behind it, the knowledge. This is huge. So I want to wrap everything up for everybody with one last question. And it ends up being the quote or mantra question. If you could sum up your brand as a man, as a professional, with a quote or a mantra that you live by, what does that look like for Vaughn Littrell?
Well, I'm not super fancy. First of all, I don't even know what mantra means, but I don't.
This is real. This is live, everybody.
Look, man, I have on my wall right here is execution. Stop talking and put in the work. Talent means nothing without hard work. And hustle, the greatest, most important word ever. I mean, those are the things that I think about all the time, man. I'm not the most super talented guy. I'm not the most, I mean, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even have Facebook. You set all my stuff up, man. You know how terrible I was.
You're there.
Twitter, what is that, man? So, but man, I don't, I literally, man, I wake up early, man. I just come to work and I just handle business every single day, and I'm relentless and I never stop, and I never don't answer my phone, and I'm always on it. And so that's why these things are so important to me, man. And probably, man, I gotta give, in prison, and it wouldn't be this interview without giving, props to really what, my higher power, man. God really changed my heart and my life in a lot of ways, and I'm still a work in progress, bro. Don't make any mixed words about that. We can get Jen and we can do something fancy to get her in here, and she can probably tell you.
We're all there.
So, but I will tell you this, man, is that I really believe that, in a lot of ways, man, God was there for me when I needed him, and really changed my heart. And so the Bible verse that I live by, and maybe is that close to a mantra?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is James 1:2. Consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. And perseverance must complete its work in order to be complete, mature, not lacking anything. And that's it.
Wow.
That's it.
I love it, everybody. Vaughn, this has been an extremely powerful episode. Thank you so much for being on. You are an official Titan, my friend. Absolutely, 100%. So thanks so much. Again, everybody, thank you so much for your time and attention, your love and support. Really appreciate you. Live every Friday, every Tuesday afternoon, different Titan, different location. We'll catch all you on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.
Take care.